Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Battle of the Shorts, Week 3. I'm joined by my co-host Greg Bear here. Greg, you want to tell him hi? Greg got in an accident this week. Our dog uh, gave him a little chew here on the ear, so Greg is probably going to be a little quieter than normal as he's nursing his injury. As you could see, they upped my wardrobe. The studio decided to buy me a suit jacket, so we're riding in style today. This week, week 3, we're brought to you by my friend Jake over here at Pulp Mortem. As you can see, he's got a cinnamon roll in his head. We'll move on. Now, go visit Jake over at Pulp Mortem. He's got a great YouTube channel, does great funny live streams. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe. He's the man. This week, we have 4 great authors that we're going to be going over. And if you've been following along with the series, you've seen some great short stories. We've seen some not so great short stories. We're going to get our bracket out here. Sorry, Greg. This week, we have Pat Cadigan, a cyberpunk writer from Kansas. I live in Missouri. We're right next to Kansas. That's cool. Versus Jack Vance, the author of the famous Dying Earth, and among others. And then we also have a matchup between Vernor Vinge, I'm going to go back and forth, so apologies, versus Avram Davidson. Let's see how they do. First up, I read, oh no, what is it called? Where's my notes? Rock On. Got it. First up, we have Pat Cadigan's Rock On, a short story featured in Mirrorshades, the very famous cyberpunk anthology from the 1990s, I believe. 1986. I was close. This inspired her later novel called Sinners with a Y instead of an I. It was a cyberpunk story, very much. It had the mesmerizing, neon, edgy, violent prose. It had the flavor of William Gibson's like Neuromancer, that kind of vibe. And I hate that I'm using like the most cyberpunk book of all time, but I haven't experienced a ton of cyberpunk so far. K.W. Jeter, Gibson. I've read a couple of authors. Cadigan falls right in line with those writers. This was a great short story. It was a bit confusing. We follow this. It's hard to describe without kind of giving away the whole plot, so I'm going to do my best. Basically, a young woman in the future who synthesizes music from her brain, from her body. We're not really sure, but the people who are creating said music are like plugging into her. There's a real violence and intensity to the prose of this one that was really shocking in a way that kind of caused me to set the book down for a moment and just kind of collect myself, because a lot of cyberpunk is written in a way where you don't exactly know what's going on all the time, and that's because of the prose being very dense, being extremely vibrant. And so you're seeing the landscape, you're feeling the moisture in the air, smelling the scents, tasting the metallic-y, gasoline-infested streets of, of that era of writing. And you kind of lose track of the characters, motivations, relationships, things like that. And so in a short story that was, I believe, 8 pages, 8 pages, it was hard to follow. The story leaves you with a very sinister takeaway of how technology and music can be kind of substituted in this case for intimacy and creativity at the expense of the person who is coming up with the idea. The language journeys into a bit of SA, if you will. That's a acronym for something I don't want to talk about on the channel, but it's a hard-edged story that uses music in place of the acts that are done when that happens, and it's just very startling. It's very shocking in a very powerful way. It, it's it's that kind of disturbing writing where you can't take your eyes off the page. You don't quite fully grasp what's happening, but you feel it. With Pat Cadigan's Rock On, I believe I gave it a. Where is my laptop? I don't remember my scores. Greg, do you know where my laptop is? I'm glad I went and looked for the laptop because I would have given this score 1 point less than I really wanted to. Pat Cadigan's Rock On gets an 8 out of 10 from me. It's short, it's extremely punchy, and it's worth a read. If you can find Mirrorshades, everything in here is got to be a banger. Packed with great names of that era. So Pat Cadigan gets an 8 out of 10. Next, we have Jack Vance's The Moon Moth that I read here in the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, Volume 2B, edited by Ben Bova. That is a mouthful. Vance, I've read before. The Dying Earth novel was a wonderful piece of literature. And I say literature because it quite literally spawned a genre of fantasy, like a subgenre of fantasy. And not only that, Vance has just a way with prose that is so whimsical, that is so light and fun, and carries you through the story very easily. You don't feel like you're having to do work to read Vance. Vance is so much fun. So much fun. He has such a way with his language that not only draws you into the world, but helps you understand the characters in a way that it's not a character-centric plot. He's not usually a character-centric writer in the way that other stories have these swooping arcs and detailed character, developments. He uses his characters as a vehicle for his insane worlds, his crazy ideas, his fun prose, and as I said earlier, the whimsy that he's trying to convey in all of these stories. I've read enough now of Vance where I could tell that if I need just a fun adventure, he is high up on the list of who I'm going to go to. We follow a man. I'm trying to recount this one because it's a bit longer than Rock On. We follow a man named Thistle, and he is on a different planet where the customs of the planet are to communicate by way of singing and using instruments, and people can only really communicate properly in their culture like that. And also, they all wear masks, and that's very key to the plot because we kind of have this like whodunit sort of plot that ends up coming out of this funny set of circumstances where Thistle is kind of an emissary of sorts on this planet. He's one of just a few humans from Earth, and the people are generally accepting of Earthlings, but there is a distress signal from kind of his boss that says this kind of wanted criminal Haxo that's his name, is on the loose on the planet, and he needs to track him down. He's about to arrive. So we get this we jump in time back and forth between when Thistle arrived on the planet and how he learned the customs to present where he's searching for this man named Haxo. And we have this really funny, I thought it was funny. It's this charming fun of, since they all wear masks, trying to figure out who is Haxo, because to communicate, there's a little bit of reverence with the music and with the singing. And if you don't do it quite correctly, people take that as a slight. And that ultimately ends up being the downfall of one of our characters, because the lack of understanding for Thistle bites him, but the circumstances were just so they were just so utterly insane and fun that you can't help but smile throughout most of the reading. Vance does it again. He's a great writer. Vance is somebody that I love to read, and I will be returning to a lot. I want to read Planet of Adventure. I want to go through the Demon Prince's novels. And I think that he just has this way of carrying a story with such fluidity that you never really want to put it down. So I pretty sure I also gave the Moon Moth by Jack Vance an 8. Let me double check really quick. I did. I gave it an 8 out of 10. But the tiebreaker, in my opinion, goes to the fact that Vance was just more fun. I don't know if that's a great objective way of breaking the tie or subjective way of breaking the tie, but Vance gets the victory over Pat Cadigan. Both were tremendous stories. I'm very happy I read them. Excuse me again, Greg. Pardon my reach. Jack Vance, back to back with Jack Williamson. Jack Vance gets the victory over Pat Cadigan. Next, we had a short story by Avram Davidson. This one was titled "O'er All the Seas with Oysters," which I believe won an award. I'm going to double check on that because we are thorough here at Battle of the Shorts. It was. Published in 1958. It was a Hugo winner, I believe, in 1959. If I'm wrong, blame Greg. I read it in the SF 4th annual volume, edited by Judith Merrill. I really like this this edition, this anthology specifically, because John Steinbeck, writer of The Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden, is in this. And unless there's two John Steinbecks, I'm pretty sure that this is the same one. And he wrote something in here, and I'm looking for it. And I can't. Yeah, the short story of Mankind from Playboy. Wouldn't you know it? John Steinbeck submitted to Playboy back in the day in the 50s? Yep, 50s. Late 50s. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here. So I think we should throw it over to our special guest here. I brought along a correspondent. This is Richard Cowper. Yes, I know. It's pronounced Cooper, or at least I think it is. What do you think, Richard? My thoughts exactly. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I keep doing this bit. Actually being serious now, this short story did nothing for me. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was dated, and it wasn't particularly interesting to me. The ending made me raise an eyebrow. Kind of just like, oh. I had a reaction to it. We'll say I wasn't completely dead inside reading this, but it just didn't have any weight to it. We follow this like duo who own a bike shop, and it's set in kind of like the real world, modern times. And one of the men is quite reserved. He loves to work on bikes. He's quiet. The other man is he's a ladies' man. He likes to talk. They're two totally opposites. And we essentially have a magic bike, but it leads you to believe that there could be like the bike is not magic per se. It's aliens transformed into a bike, and they're listening to them. I don't really know. It just was odd. It read weird. It was kind of a slog. I've read. Did I read? I read one other book by Davidson like a year ago called Mutiny in Space. If I'm remembering this correctly, I will flash a picture up on the screen so you can see it. And what's funny is I did the reading based on bad Goodreads reviews, so not good ones. I was looking for bad Goodreads reviews, trying to see if they were truly bad. And Mutiny in Space was not good. It wasn't bad, just like this short story, but it wasn't good. It was a 5 out of 10 from me. Avram Davidson still has yet to impress me, but I've only read that novel, this short story. So 3 strikes and you're out, I guess, in my book. All right. Last but not least, Vernor Vinge. I knew how to pronounce it at one time or another. I promise. I don't remember now. Vernor Vinge's Long Shot, here in the 1973 annual World's Best SF, edited by Donald Walheim, the Doll Man. And Long Shot was very, very, it wasn't fun. I was about to say fun. It was very light and peaceful. It reminded me of the tone that I read A Fire Upon the Deep, which was the only other piece of fiction that I read by Vernor. This had a tone of peace and of quiet. The character work was really unique, and the entire structure of the story was unique. We followed like a deep space, not really a satellite, but a ship that's inhabited by a computer who is sentient, if you will. That's the point of view that we get from the story, is of this computer on the ship. And humans have sent this ship deep into space to find to plant a new human colony. And the entire 15 or so pages is from the point of view of this female computer who is kind of pondering, and we don't get it we get it all from third person. So we're getting the omniscient, I think her name was Ilsa. Yep. It has this like reserved third person narrative point of view that is very, I think it's the right choice for this, because it would seem very silly to have a first person point of view in the tone that this story is told in. And because it's kind of sad, it's kind of somber in tone, because it's just the deep quiet of space. And really the only like action that we get is near the end when she's running out of fuel in her rocket, and she kind of has to decide whether she goes to the nearby planet to test whether it's okay for humans, or if she tries to go on to the other one afterwards. She has to kind of make a split second decision, and she makes the right one at the end, because we have this very sweet ending. I won't spoil the ending, because the way it is written, specifically written, is just very beautiful, and it made me smile. Vernor Vinge has a way of he has a very light edge to his writing. It doesn't cut. I mentioned Pat Cadigan's very sharp, antagonistic, violent writing earlier that really is in your face. Vinge's kind of the polar opposite, where his writing really draws you in quietly, and he takes these pauses, it seems, to let you sit in kind of what he's writing, what he's written. And it really does captivate you and capture your attention in a way that is just peaceful and enjoyable and thought-provoking. There's a decent amount of hard sci-fi in this, with some physics, deep space transit, where I had no idea how to really calculate how things were going, but I trusted him to get me through, and he did. Vinge does really good work here. This was a good short story. It is a 7 out of 10 from me, and I really have enjoyed reading some of the shorts out of these bigger hardcover annual World's Best SF. You find these are really good readers. I don't know if it's just me personally, but I enjoy them. So, without further ado, our second matchup of the day between Avram Davidson in SF 4th Annual Volume and Vernor Vinge's long shot in 1973 Annual World's Best SF. I bet you can guess. Vernor Vinge knocks off Avram Davidson and takes the cake with a 7 out of 10. Really good short story. Really good short story. They hired me for this job. Are you kidding me? What am I doing here? Oh, sorry, Greg. Bumped you with the board. We are going Vernor. Boom! Vernor Vinge takes home the cake. And this week, our champions, Jack Vance and Vernor Vinge, were very deserving. Both had good short stories. I would recommend reading both of them. Next week, we're going to be reading Margaret St. Clair's Change the Sky, I believe. And she's going up against Thomas M. Dish's Descending. Roger Zelazny's very famous, it's such a long title. Let me see if I can get it. The Lamps of His Mouth, the Doors of His Face. I think I got it. And Barry Malzberg's, oh crap. It's something about an arc. I don't remember the name of it, and I should. I've read everyone except for Margaret St. Clair. But I know Zelazny's great. Malzberg is very interesting and a really good writer. Dish, I've read him before. Great short stories. And I've heard great things about Margaret St. Clair. So we're going to have a really fun time. From my studio here, Greg signing off. Richard Cowper signing off. I know it's pronounced Cooper. And I've been Dad Like Book. Go follow my friend Jake over at Pulp Mortem. He's got a great channel. This has been week 3 of the Battle of the Shorts. I appreciate you joining me, and we'll see you next week. Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Central Time. Catch you then. Goodbye. Oh, getting in and out of that. Oh, no, Jake.